Hi there, it's Gabrielle Nicolay from SpeechKids. I'm a speech language pathologist, also called a speech therapist, and I teach little kids how to talk and I help their parents understand them better. And today we are going to talk about drooling. So drool happens for sure, and it's part of typical development, but it should end just about age 2 when your child has finished teething. And so that's kind of the short version. I'm going to walk you through sort of drooling development 101 and sort of give you some indications at the end about sort of what to do if your child is still drooling at age 2 or by the time they've finished teething. So when babies are born, they don't actually swallow on purpose. It's part of a reflex, the suck, swallow, breathe sequence that they have when they are infants, and that's how they get the milk down and stay alive by breathing. But they're not actually swallowing in between. So if they're not sucking, they're not swallowing. They are only breathing. Once they get a little older and they start sitting upright, having table foods, and getting a little bit more mature, then they start to swallow their own saliva. But what happens when they start teething is there's a lot of saliva. They have an overproduction of saliva because of the teething. And so you will see, and some kids do it more than others, but most kids do it at some point, is saliva coming out the front of the mouth. It's totally fine. It's totally normal. It's messy, but it's not the most messy thing we deal with babies, is it? But once your child has finished teething, the drooling should pretty much go away, because your child now has the control to close their mouth. And they should have a closed mouth posture. That means their mouth is closed pretty much most of the time, unless they're talking or eating. When they're playing, usually their mouths are closed because they're breathing through their noses and they're good. If your child is not if your child is walking around with their mouths open a lot, if your child is a really noisy sleeper, or breathes, is a mouth breather, these are indications that, first of all, they're probably drooling a lot because the mouth is open, stuff is falling out of it. But open mouths at rest are indications that the nose is not clear. So if there's chronic congestion, if there's fluid in the ears, if there's enlarged tonsils or adenoids, those are sort of 3 reasons off the top of my head why kids might breathe through their mouths. And that actually has implications not just for drooling, it's not just messy. It can impact speech and language development. And if you haven't already, there's a video on my website on the blog about hearing development. And so you can check that out if you're interested. But it's super important that kids hear well when they are learning language. And it's important that they learn sort of how to manage, we call it the oral mechanism, but their mouths, right? And so if your child is walking around with an open mouth a lot, it's worth asking why, because probably they're drooling a lot and there's an underlying reason for it. So you want to get on that. So that's it for today. Drooling should be gone by age 2. If it's not, ask why. If you've got more questions, or if you're worried about your child's speech and language development or their drooling, feel free to reach out to us. You can have a 15-minute free consult on the phone. The phone number is on the website at SpeechKids.com, and we are happy to talk to you. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.